Ba-ba-ba-bum. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Velvet Al, that's me, watches movies so you, that's you, don't have to. And this week I actually kind of feel bad about doing this film. Crocodile Hunter Collision Course, because God bless Steve Irwin, the Crocodile Hunter. Great guy, and, helped conservation and teach us about animals. And he did a lot of good, and I feel kind of bad that I'm going to make fun of him. I think enough time has passed since his death that, we're free to make fun of him. But I'm going to make fun of him in a loving way, because this film, which is about a crocodile is being chased by the CIA or something. I don't know. We'll go with it. Some sort of plot, and who knows. But I'm sure this movie was made with good intentions. But as we all know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Which makes me wonder what road gets paved with bad intentions. Is it a different road to hell? Is it like a road to purgatory? Is it a road to a strip club? Because going to a brothel, because going to the whorehouse, you've got bad intentions. So, I don't know. I'm gonna look for this road that's paved with bad intentions. Bad intentions like making fun of the Crocodile Hunter. I truly do kind of feel bad that I'm doing this film, but a bad movie is a bad movie, and I have to watch these for you, my dear listeners. Let me hit play. This movie's put out by MGM, so to start off, we've got the MGM intro, but instead of a lion roaring, it's a crocodile roaring. I don't think crocodiles can actually roar. I don't know, what noise does a crocodile make anyhow? It must have some sort of guttural, like, roar, to let you know that it's about to attack. Or are they silent hunters? Do they kill you silently? I don't know. Maybe later in the movie we'll see what noise crocodiles make. And we start off with the shot of a satellite, but they shoot it like the beginning of Star Wars New Hope, when you first see the Imperial ship from like underneath angle as it's passing by to make it seem like massive. And the music kind of sounds like Star Wars, like just close enough that it sounds like Star Wars, but not close enough to incur a copyright lawsuit. And I think this movie was like late 90s, so that probably would have been around the time that, we got the big Star Wars revival, when the original trilogy got re-released, and everyone was like, oh yeah, Star Wars, that was a thing. And then it's been like nonstop since then. No, I kid you not. Look up documentaries, especially there's a documentary about the toys, and there was a good period where Star Wars had completely cooled off between, like, Jedi, because people hated the Ewoks. I hate the Ewoks anyhow. And the re-release, and it kind of just cooled off, and, like, young kids, they liked it, but it really wasn't as much of a cultural phenomenon as it was at first, and as it would be after the re-releases. So everyone had Star Wars on the mind, and that's why they did this shameless ripoff of Star Wars. I think. I don't know. We'll claim that's the reason. So the satellite falls out of orbit, and it's set to self-destruct if it ever gets out of orbit, because, I don't know, what's a good reason for it to self-destruct? It's a satellite. I mean, are they worried, like, oh, it's been, like, commandeered by the Russians, and I don't know, is this like a satellite that can, like, zoom in and destroy a target from space? Because then, yeah, I could see why you would want to have a self-destruct. But is it just a communications thing? It's just some satellite TV? So why, at that point, would you need a self-destruct? I want to know why they need this satellite to self-destruct if it falls out of orbit. Because that's a bad thing, because there was a piece that fell to Earth. And instead of being like a complete meteorite and burn upon entrance, which I think it should. Or I don't know, do satellites get made out of that same kind of foam that they put on space shuttles so that they don't burn up on re-entry? But anyhow, it doesn't burn up, and a crocodile eats it. That's bad, because now the crocodile has the satellite thing that's gonna allow the Russians to blow up the White House or something. I don't know. I don't know why this is such a big deal of losing this satellite. Other than it's probably really fucking expensive. But, most of it's destroyed. So, take the loss, write it off on the IRS. I'm sure you can write it off on your taxes this year. Well, of course you should be able to. You're the fucking government. You should be able to write off... can the government write off destroyed satellites? I feel like they should be able to because, they are the government and they control taxes anyhow. I'm going to look into it. I am not going to look into it. Now we watch Steve Irwin do his thing, which is chase animals and comically miss them. Comically fail to capture them. Because the Gila monster, I get the feeling he probably could capture the Gila monster if he had a better strategy than jumping up in the air and landing in dirt. I don't think pouncing on the Gila monster is a good strategy if you're a human trying to capture one. Because let's say you do land on it. You probably will kill it. Your weight, plus the centrifugal force of gravity. Look at me trying to sound smart. I don't even know if that is a centrifugal force. But I'm pretty sure centrifugal is a word. Perhaps. Anyways, he's chasing after the Gila monster. But the Gila monster goes into a cave and out of reach of Steve Irwin. But he finds something that's just as good. Poop. He found some of the Gila monster's poop. Which contains a little claw from another lizard. Assumedly. Presumably. I don't know. Maybe the Gila monster just ate his own claw. I don't know. Did he eat, another lizard's claw? Is that... I can understand, he's biting his nails and eats one of his own claws. Is he biting some other lizard's nails? I hope you teach me about this, Steve. Teach me why that Gila monster had a lizard claw in his poop. Now, over at the CIA, some agents are being briefed on why this is so important. Because the satellite, the piece that fell off, is a beacon that is supposedly not to be operational because this is advanced technology that supposedly, wink wink, no one's supposed to know about. But apparently the satellite collects information and pictures, probably illegally, and if some other country, the Russians, cough cough, I don't know, actually I don't think we really cared about Russia much at this point in the world history. Russia was kind of at a down point, so probably wasn't Russia that we were worried about. Probably France. Fuck the French. Is what the CIA agents are probably thinking, not me. Don't blame it on me. So, but the satellite was collecting all sorts of information, so it's important that the U.S. gets it back. Now, they're getting some signals, so they know it's in Australia. So they're going to have a covert mission saying we're just going to clean up some space junk. Which, how do you say that to the Australian Prime Minister or whatever their leader's called? Oh yeah, we got some space junk that we want to clean up. Oh, no problem, crikey, mate. We'll throw it out ourselves. I don't know how to do an Australian accent. So that's as best as you're going to get from me. But no, they're going to go and try it. And one of the agents is well, at least Australia is a friendly country. And comic Eisenstein type editing, we get a hillbilly lady. Although I don't know if they're called hillbillies in Australia, but she's shooting at the crocodile, which I assume is our crocodile that ate the satellite. And she's shooting at him because he's trying to eat her cows. Which, okay, And in fairness, it seems like she's shooting warning shots instead of, like, actually, like, shooting at him. So, I guess kudos to the lady for not trying to actually kill the crocodile. Or maybe she is, and she's a bad shot. But, hopefully, I mean, actually, that might be a good thing. Like, if she kills the crocodile, and then the beacon's gone. And the beacon must be made of some, like, sort of solid thing that the crocodile's stomach acid isn't going to break down and dissolve. Now, the hillbilly lady goes back to her farm, and waiting there is animal control, or the Australian version of animal control. And really, no, the Australian version of animal wildlife control. But, anyhow, he kind of looks like a lesser Hemsworth. Which maybe he is related to the Hemsworth. The Hemsworths are Australian, so could be. He could be like a distant cousin. Just doesn't quite have as good looks or the acting chops. But he's there to warn her that, you know, she can't be going shooting crocodiles. And she thinks she should be able to shoot crocodiles because they eat her cows. Which, okay, I understand her logic. You know, she just needs to go through the proper channels is the issue. But, you know, then she says to herself, it's croc killing time. And another comical jump cut, and now we see the crocodile hunter. And he says, it's croc saving time. He's gonna save the crocodile. She's gonna try to kill it, and ironically, the crocodile hunter is the one who's going to save the crocodile. My guess. I think that's what'll happen. Good thing I wasn't recording, but I, like, smashed my knee very hard against my computer desk, and it fucking hurt. Actually, it's too bad that I wasn't recording, because that would have been awesome to just kind of, I'm talking about the movie, and then I was like, fuck! that would have been hilarious. Anyhow, Steve and Terry are getting in a boat to go on the river because there's a crocodile there. Because the fishermen, when they fish, apparently have just been throwing, like, the blood and guts of the fish into the river. Which makes the crocodile go, like, hey, food, I'm going to hang around here. Some cheap, easy food. It's already dead and killed for me. All right. And as Steve Irwin points out, you know, this is not the crocodile's fault, so people shouldn't go and kill the crocodile. Because as he explains, the crocodile didn't go into our swimming pool, we went into his. Yeah, because the crocodile's just trying to chill and be a crocodile. And people gotta go and fuck with it, so he's gonna go save the crocodile. And they're going through, and Steve's giving us some lessons about crocodiles, and it's nighttime. So they got these big giant spotlights because they'll make their eyes glow red and give them the advantage. Because normally crocodiles have the advantage at night because they kind of camouflage into the swamp and they just ambush you and jump out. But you got the spotlight that gives you the advantage. And Steve jumps and he ambushes the crocodile. They fight in the water for a while, but Steve overpowers the crocodile and brings it into the boat and they tie it up. And like, all right, we saved the crocodile. Because that's what it was all about, like, about saving the crocodile. And if you have to use a little elbow grease and force, so be it. And as they're laying on the boat, Steve and Terry, because they're, like, tired, like, oh, this, like, took a lot out of us, Steve smacks her on the ass. Oh, yeah, he does. I mean, I don't think it was, like, really anything more than, like, I think he was trying to pat her on the back and just wasn't aware of where her body was in relation to his. But yeah, that was a good old smack on her ass. They're married, so Steve is completely free to smack her on the ass. Because I imagine later that night when they're back in their room, there's going to be a lot more smacking of asses. Oh yeah. Why the fuck am I thinking about Steve Irwin's sex life? I got a special place in hell reserved for me. I can't be the only one. Right? Someone else out there, besides Steve and Terry themselves, have to have given some sort of consideration to Steve Irwin's sex life. Is it just me? Okay. So again, my groundbreaking podcast. This is probably the only podcast that will ever even put into your mind Steve Irwin's sex life. Now, over at the CIA, in a different department, a different guy, he's upset because he's found out about the plan to send out some other CIA agents to get the satellite junk back. But he knows that, it's probably the beacon important part of the satellite. Because I guess, I don't know, shouldn't, the CIA talk to each other? I can understand, okay, the CIA and the FBI don't like to share information, but different departments of the CIA aren't sharing information with each other. So, but he's found out, and he knows, okay, this other guy, he's trying to get my job. So he's going to send his own agent into the field. A hot blonde. Because, I don't know, maybe she's there to seduce Steve Irwin. Well, they don't know Steve Irwin's going to be involved yet, but she's probably going to have to seduce Steve Irwin. Meanwhile, the original undercover FBI agents, or CIA agents, I don't know, does it matter? I don't know what the difference between the FBI and the CIA is anyhow. Don't they basically do the same job? Fucking assholes. Just more government waste. Anyways, they're packing up for their mission, and one of them says, "Don't worry, there's nothing there to be scared of." And wah-wah! Another comic edit to a dangerous venomous snake. Ooh. That's not a snake sound. That's more of a snake sound, right? So, where was... Oh, so there's the venomous snake, as Steve Irwin helpfully tells us that it would kill 150 blokes. Crikey! But he knows how to handle it. He's a professional, and he starts handling that snake in a way that is way too sexual for a kid's movie. My God, I think he wants to fuck this snake. The way he's, caressing the snake and, the googly eyes he's making at the snake. And he even tells us that he's in love with the snake. My God, just... Oh. I don't know. Is Steve Irwin part Japanese? I say that because I remember, I once... when I first started ordering porn, mail order porn, because back in the day when we didn't have internet and you had to, send away to get porn, then I got, this, mail letter from, this really fucking, sick, the hardcore sick shit, and, there was, the Linda Lovelace fucks the dog video and all that, and then there was one about this lady fucking a snake, and this has got me thinking about that, Steve Irwin gonna use that snake on Terry. And again, why am I discussing Steve Irwin's sex life? That's one of those things, I never thought I would ever discuss Steve Irwin's sex life. But this movie, which is a fucking kid's movie, has got me thinking about Steve Irwin fucking with snakes. Not in a metaphorical way. I'm not talking about his dick. I'm sure he refers to his dick as a snake. Or a crocodile. I don't know what he refers to his dick as. But I'm talking about he wants to fuck an actual snake. And I don't know if he wants to fuck it or if he wants to use it on Terry. Terry, run! Run if he's trying to use the snake on you. Just... Oh, no, seriously. If you can, YouTube this clip of, I don't know... YouTube Steve Irwin fondles snake or something. It's just... Oh, I feel dirty. I have to wash myself. It's bad enough that I was thinking of Steve Irwin smacking his wife's ass. Now I gotta think of him fondling a snake and trying to use the snake to fuck his wife. Just... Wow, where did... I bet when you, clicked on this episode and... You're okay, let's see, or listen to Velvet Owl talking about a Crocodile Hunter movie. I bet you never thought that it was going to involve me talking about Steve Irwin possibly fucking his wife with a snake. And trust me, I never thought I was going there either. Never in a million years did I think my demented mind would be talking about Steve Irwin's sex life and possible bestiality. At this point, I would like to remind everyone, this is for entertainment purposes only. I am not saying for sure that Steve Irwin practiced bestiality, so do not sue me, Irwin Estate. I'm not saying it. I'm just saying that this movie is suggesting it and put it in my mind. So, fuck you, movie. Now, over at the CIA, the head of the one department is angry at the head of the other department because, his department didn't get to be called in to look for the space junk. The, not space junk, but very valuable piece of satellite. And they kind of throw some veiled threats at each other. And, oh boy, they do not like each other at all. Back in Australia, the wildlife control guy, the Lesser Hemsworth, he's going to see the crazy lady, but her fence has this big no trespassing sign, and, wild dogs will attack. He thinks, this sign's probably bullshit, so he opens the fence. What happens? He gets attacked by the dogs. And he manages to get out of there, but he drops his hat in the process, and the dogs pee on his hat. Because, remember, this is a kid's film, so we have to have a joke of dogs peeing on something. I think that's a rule. I'm not sure. But the dogs pee on the hat. Then he goes to see the crazy lady on the other entrance. The entrance that he probably should have gone, because that's where she is. And he tells her, oh, don't worry. We found some crocodile experts, and we're going to bring them in. Which I'm guessing is the Irwins. Because they are crocodile experts, so they're probably being brought in. But she's like, I don't care about no crocodile experts. I'm going to take care of the crocodile myself. And I think she's going to try to kill the crocodile. Will she succeed? Not as long as Steve Irwin's on the case. Now, the CIA agents, the ones that are on the case, they land in Australia, and they're met by this hot redhead in short shorts. And they're kind of like, "Rrr!" And you can just sense that their boners are just popping. And the one guy's trying to talk hi! And his voice squeaks, because the boner poppin'. The poppin' boner. The boner. Yeah, exactly. I feel the same way. I feel the same way, CIA guys. I can't think. Now we go back to the Irwins, and Steve and Terry find a dead kangaroo in the road. And they're telling us, about how important it is to make sure that they pull off the dead kangaroos and all sorts of dead animals off the road. Because the predators, well, not really the predators, the scavengers who are going to go and eat the dead body, you don't want them in the road as well and also get hit by a car. So they pull the kangaroo to the side of the road, and, oh no, the dead kangaroo had a baby, and the baby's nearby. And luckily the baby didn't get hit by a car, but they're going to have to take care of the baby. So Steve tells Terry, take off your shirt. And I'm thinking, crikey, my boner's a poppin' too. And take off her shirt she does. And we get some nice long shots of her cleavage. In a kid's film, remember? This film is for kids. And granted, they were just trying to get a shot of the little kangaroo baby that they're wrapping up in her shirt. But damn, the camera was like, cleavage, zoom in. And I don't know how to feel about this. But I guess they're going to nurse the baby back to health, and she's going to suckle on Terry's teats. And I don't think the kangaroo's actually going to suckle on Terry's teats. And I'm trying to, because I was just setting myself up to talk about Steve suckling on Terry's teats. Because why not? Why not at this point just turn every scene of Steve Irwin into a discussion of him having sex? I've gone too far. I've gone too far, and I cannot pull back on this. This is just where it is, I guess. Just, poor me. Poor Steve. Poor Terry. Poor little baby kangaroo. But in all seriousness, I do hope they manage to save him. He's a cute little Joey. Crazy lady strings up some raw chicken and hangs it over the lake. Or was it a river? Whatever body of water. She's going to entice the crocodile. Because she's going to wait there with her gun, and when the crocodile comes to eat the chicken, blammo! Meanwhile, the CIA agents are setting up their equipment to try to figure out where the signal is. But just the one guy, because he's the tech guy. The other guy is kind of just there to look pretty, I think. And so he starts trying to mack it to the redhead, but she's not having any of it. So he's like, well, I guess I'll go to sleep. And she drops the sleeping bag on the ground. And she's like, don't worry, there's nothing dangerous. And cut to a dangerous animal. The running gag of this film. It's a spider, a very deadly spider that can eat geckos and stuff, and birds. And, of course, Steve Irwin is teaching us all about it, and this dangerous, venomous spider, he takes a stick, starts poking it to try to antagonize her to show how she attacks. To me, that doesn't seem like the smartest idea. And I'm beginning to wonder, like, did he antagonize that stingray? Maybe he kind of had it coming. He knew the dangers. He knows about nature. He knows that when you antagonize a deadly animal, you run the risk of that animal killing you. And so it didn't work too well with the stingray, but he's safe with the spider. And he's like just prodding at it and going like, crikey and wow and all those crazy like faces he makes. If you've ever seen like any footage of the Crocodile Hunter, are we sure this guy was not on cocaine like 24/7? Because he seems like he's on cocaine. He's on some sort of uppers. He is just psychotic, like, oh wow, crikey. And yeah, I think he says crikey at least like 15 times in a second. But Terry comes by and she's got a container to put the spider in, because they're going to take the spider to the zoo so they can study the venom. Meanwhile, Steve, because he's fucking high on cocaine, starts sticking his hand into the spider hole. Yeah. Not taking into any account, like, oh, there might be other spiders, and there is another spider. It's a dead spider. So luckily, he doesn't get bit. It's a dead spider that the other spider was eating on. Probably her husband, because this is the type of spider that, fucks and then eats her husband. Which, the world might be better if human species kind of followed along with that. And I say this as a male member of the human species. Yeah, if I was killed after fucking, at least I died doing what I loved. But yeah, but back to it, he's just sticking his hand, like, I hope they, like, beforehand, that we didn't see on camera, like, excavated and made sure there weren't other fucking spiders, other fucking venomous spiders. I mean, I don't know much about the spider. Maybe the spider's like kind of a loner. Will fuck the male spider, then eat him, and then be alone until she raises baby spiders. But who knows? Maybe there were baby spiders. So I really hope they, like, investigated and really checked the area to make sure there were no other venomous spiders before Steve Irwin just stuck his hand in and go, crikey, I need some more cocaine. So Crazy Lady's, it's nighttime, and she's waiting by the chicken, and the crocodile attacks and gets the chicken, and she tries to attack him, and she falls in the water, and her gun gets all wet, and when she has the shot, the gun doesn't go off because it's all wet, and I don't know. I'm like so bored and don't care about her at all. I just wish the crocodile would eat her, but I don't think the crocodile's gonna eat her because it's a family film. And then the CIA agent is doing something. and complete waste of a 30-second thing. They're trying to get the signal. I don't know. The redhead girl, she kind of looks like Angelina Jolie. So she's the Australian Angelina Jolie. So we got a wannabe Hemsworth and a wannabe Angelina Jolie. But Steve gets the call that he's got to go and save the crocodile before that crazy lady tries to kill him. And he's like, all right, woohoo, crikey! No, seriously, he... Like, half his dialogue is just woohoo and crikey. And so they're driving, but he's got to stop the car because there's a snake in the road, and we all know how Steve feels about snakes, so he gets, like, the hugest cocaine boner, like, crikey! I need to save this snake. And then keeps imparting to us how important it is that the snake does not bite his crotch. He doesn't come out and say crotch, but he points to it a lot because he wants to show off his cocaine boner. I mean, I didn't mean to stare that closely, but yeah, he had a cocaine boner going on. Or it might have just been the angle of the dangle. And his pants just might pleat in the wrong spots, and it just looks like a big cocaine boner as he's just swinging the snake around. Crikey. Telling you, he's got a kink for snakes. So because the signal is very intermittent, the CIA agents have determined the beacon must be at the bottom of the river. And they track it close by the crazy lady's property. And, even though the sign says no trespassing, they're fucking Americans, so they trespass. And luckily the dogs aren't there to attack them. And they don't see the old lady, so they're like, alright, no one's around, so they're not going to bother us, and we're going to go and get the beacon. Illegally, because this is on someone's private property and you're trespassing. This could cause an international incident. Meanwhile, Steve has found the crocodile, and there's a big fight with the crocodile, and a lot of wow and crikey, and I kind of have a bit of a headache from fucking Steve and his cocaine eyes. Or I might just have a headache from something else. Either way, this movie is giving me a headache. And they fight and fight and fight. At one point, the crocodile drags Steve underneath the water, which makes Terry have to try to emote and act like she's scared and concerned. Not very good at it. How dare this film try to make her act? She's not an actress. She's just the girl that fucks the crocodile hunter. But the crocodile gets away. Steve tries his best, but gosh darn it, crikey. Oh, no, the crocodile didn't quite get away because there's a rope tied around it, and Steve has hold of it, and the crocodile is going as far as it can, but they're chasing along, holding onto the rope, and on the little speedboat they're on. And finally, the crocodile just runs out of water, and it's out in the ground, in the mud, and Steve mud wrestles it, and woo, crikey! And he subdues the crocodile, and they tie up the crocodile, much like he ties up Terry at night. Yes, I am gonna still keep going on it, because why not? I don't know why I have spent so much time talking about the crocodile hunter's sex life. But it's one of those things, like, once you start thinking about it, it's like, God damn! I can't stop thinking about it. They probably have all sorts of, like, weird role play in the bedroom where she pretends she's a crocodile. Is like, oh, crikey! I'm gonna tie you up. Or maybe he's the crocodile and she ties him up. And then, like, a lot of, like, snake play. I don't know. I don't know why I'm thinking about it. Because, a good film would keep your mind thinking on the film itself. A film like Crocodile Collision Hunter has your mind thinking about Steve Irwin getting down and dirty. He is DTF. He is down to fuck. Oh yeah, he is. I don't know. Is there a special place in hell for me for spending so much time thinking about Crocodile Hunter fucking? But you know, I was going to say he does, but he doesn't anymore because he's dead. But if he was still alive, he'd be fucking a lot. He is a sex animal. He's got animal magnetism. He is the Crocodile Hunter. And he's coming for your panties. What? And I'm an idiot. I'm kind of blind, I guess. The girl that I thought was a redhead is actually a strawberry blonde. I was taking a guess. But it's the blonde CIA agent from earlier, under disguise with Australian accent. Which I should have figured. And she's reporting to her boss and they got secret messages or something. But anyhow, they then are going through the crazy old lady's property. And they've tracked the signal. Like, it's in the water. It's moving. So someone's got it. But then the dogs attack. I don't know why I felt the need to impersonate some attacking dogs. Just... That's how I start getting towards, like... I'm like 2/3 the way through this movie. So I'm just... I'd rather impersonate a dog than talk about this movie. Maybe I'll just do the rest of the review just as a dog. So... Okay, that joke's growing old now, isn't it? So, the dogs attack, so one of the CIA agents starts shooting at the dogs to kind of scare them off, but then, crazy old lady, she's there, like, she ain't taking kindly to someone shooting at her dogs, so she shoots at them, and they're about to have a standoff, but then they say, like, oh, you know, we're CIA, like, we're just on a mission here, and she thinks, like, oh, these must be the crocodile hunters that Wildlife Hemsworth was sending over this way. And of course she still doesn't like them because she wants to kill the crocodile. And so they convince the old lady to take just the girl, and the other two CIA agents will continue looking around. How do you convince someone who's got a shotgun and a bunch of dogs, like, trained on you to, like, oh, you know what, just leave us to continue, like, going around on your property. And you go take her to... I'm not even sure what they were doing. I think they were gonna... I think she wanted to verify, maybe. But anyhow, then, like, the CIA, like, back in America, they're going through their files, and they're giving a report to one of the heads of the CIA, and they believe that Steve and Terry Irwin are sleeper agents. Or not even sleeper agents, just secret agents. Because, conveniently, every place they go to film tends to be near areas of political unrest. A little too convenient. And they plan on building, like, this really super expensive zoo. More than they could afford from making a cable television show. Which, you know, that... I would have chalked up, like, the political unrest thing to coincidence. Like, oh, they just, you know, there's always political unrest in the areas where these kind of animals are found. Like, it's not like they're, you know, helping conserve, like, dogs or rabbits or even coyotes. They're, like, you know, South African animals and stuff like that out in the super wild. And those tend to... You know, if you're going to, like, the Amazon, political unrest is in that area. So, that's probably just a coincidence. But the money thing, like, yeah, they can't be making that much money because their show was, what, on, like, Discovery Channel? So, although this was before David Zaslav came in and, like, completely destroyed Discovery Channel. Actually, I think they were on Animal Planet, which... probably has even less of a budget than Discovery Channel. So yeah, they can't be making much money. So I think there's something to this possible that they are like agents, and this wasn't just some weird coincidence that they accidentally got the crocodile that has the beacon. No, they're secret agents. I would love for that to be like the plot twist in Act 3. Like, wow, all this time the crocodile hunter is a secret agent. That would be fantastic. But I bet it's going to turn out to be just a case of mistaken identity. Wah, wah. Now, the crazy old lady may be crazy, but she ain't stupid. She left her dogs to guard the 2 CIA agents that she left behind. Unfortunately, she didn't bother to check to see if they had any sort of weapons, like a dog whistle. They used the dog whistle to get away. Meanwhile, she's trying to call the wildlife guy or whatever, but the blonde, the female agent, she does some trickery and locks her in the bathroom. Woo-hoo-hoo! And she tries to escape, but there's some dogs guarding her, and I turned away for a second, and I'm not going to rewind to see what she did. She was getting one of those flying contraptions. I don't know if I can even describe it. Either you've seen it or you haven't, and you know what I'm talking about, or you don't. Those flying contraptions where, it's kind of like a bicycle, but with giant wings, so it's half bicycle, half plane. And I wasn't paying attention, so I don't know if she got it out or not. And I don't care. I'm just waiting for this movie to be over. And I hope the crocodile eats everyone except for Steve and Terry. I wish I had been keeping a running count of how many times Steve Irwin says crikey. Because it's got to be in the hundreds. But, so they're driving off with the crocodile in the back of their truck. Little cargo truck. And then the CIA agents are coming behind them. And they're shooting at them and ramming into the truck. And so they think oh no, these must be the poachers. Because they don't know that the CIA agents are coming. All they know is that these guys want to get a crocodile. So they think it's poachers. And it's amazing. Terry tries to read her lines. And she's got absolutely just wooden stifled delivery. She has no emotion. She's incapable. When they're doing the actual scenes where they're talking about the animals and all that, she comes off natural because that's probably what she does. But when she has to recite the actual dialogue of the film and try to show emotion, she can't. But Steve is so fucking gung-ho and into it with those big cocaine eyes. Seriously, this is probably why he's so good at it. Is he just got all hopped up on cocaine. He's these are the lines. I don't care, matey. Crikey, let's do it. But so one of the CIA agents jumps on top of the truck, and so Steve gets out, and it's a big goofy fight scene on top of the truck. And I gotta say, it's fun. It is fun. If there was more of that in this movie, that would have been great. It actually is a fun little goofy fight, and then Steve knocks the CIA agent off the truck, but the CIA agent managed to grab a rope, so he's being pulled by the rope, and he's going to try to climb up the rope to get back. But Steve, no, he's too wily for that, so he goes into the back of the truck and pulls out the snake. I should have said, he pulls out his snake, and I don't mean his penis. No, just the thing that he likes to fondle almost as much as he fondles his own penis. Seriously, because he looks at the snake, he's like, isn't she a beaut? Why? What was that line? Why did you, in the middle of this fight, stop to admire how beautiful the snake is? He has issues. It's a combination of cocaine and lust in his eyes as he looks at the snake. It's just, I don't know. I don't want to disparage the dead and accuse them of bestiality, but he likes the snake a little too much. But he lets the snake slither down the rope a little bit, enough to make the CIA agent let go of the rope, it's a snake, I can't deal with it anymore. And imagine, was the truck just not going very fast? Because still, he was being pulled along by the rope. That's gonna be like some fucking dangerous shit, right? Like if you're going like even 30 miles an hour and you're being dragged across a dirt road, that is gonna fuck you up. I imagine. Like, you're on your stomach, you gotta be all torn up and bloody. Because it looks like she was driving. Well, I was gonna say they're driving the speed limit, but I don't know what the speed limit for a dirt road in Australia would be. And I imagine, they probably don't drive too fast just in case there are animals on the road. Crikey! But score one for the Irwins as they lose the CIA agents. I don't know how they lost, I guess the other guy who's driving his car is going to have to stop to pick up the CIA agent, who should be nearly dead after being dragged across a dirt road. But that's neither here nor there. Now, crazy old lady's trying to get out the window of her bathroom because, she's stuck. And she's too big and fat to get through this window, and she just keeps farting as she's trying to get out because fat people, farting. Funny. See, the alliteration, it works. Fat, fart, funny. Rules of three, people! Rules of three! I don't create the rules. God did, so that's how it works. But she manages to see her shed blow up as Blondie has detonated the entire shed except for the airplane bicycle thing, and she goes flying off in it. And the crazy old lady's like, "Ah, you wanker!" Because, I don't know, isn't wanker a bad word, though? Like, is it as, the equivalent of fucker? Or at least asshole? Like, I understand here in America, we probably don't even know what a wanker is, so we're like, whatever. But isn't it at least PG-13 level language? So, the CIA agent who's driving stops to pick up the guy who's should be dead, but he's just a little dirty and his jeans are a little torn up. His shirt survived intact, so I don't know, the shirt must be made of stronger material. Meanwhile, Steve and Terry have reached another river, I'm guessing a safe river, and they're loading up the crocodile in the boat, and Steve sees poop. Oh, the crocodile pooped. Let me just pick it up and clean it off and wipe the poop on my shirt. And the crocodile has pooped out the beacon. Steve, and the thing is fucking huge. About the size of Steve's head. So, I don't know. The crocodile managed to... Well, I mean, as Steve explains to us helpfully, crocodiles can't digest metal. So, even if they were to eat, a beer can, it could kill them because they can't, digest a beer can. And they might have trouble shitting out the beer can. But luckily, this crocodile had no trouble shitting out the beacon, which is much bigger than a beer can. But Steve doesn't know what it is because, he's not a secret agent like the CIA thinks. Oh, I wish he were. That would make things so much better. That would make the entirety of the Crocodile Hunter TV show so much better. In fact, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch the TV show under the assumption that he's a secret agent, and it's gonna just add a whole new level of wow, this is an awesome show. But so he decides he's gonna take it back to wherever, the zoo, I guess, to study it further, to see what it might be. Okay, I'm getting kind of sick of doing a blow-by-blow, scene-by-scene recap, so whatever. Hemsworth, wildlife guy, rescues crazy old lady. I'm sure they'll play in later. And the Irwins get the crocodile into the river, and, it's a little dangerous because, the crocodile's still tied up. So they're going to have to untie, the mouth part first before they untie the rest of him. Because otherwise, if his mouth is tied, he could die because he has no way to protect himself. And it's really dangerous. And, oh no, is Steve going to lose a limb? Crikey! No, they get out. But the CIA agents come by, oh no, because remember, they still think they're poachers. And and they're well, let's steer them away from the crocodile. The crocodile will be safe, and then they think like, okay, this is okay, but then the other CIA lady is come by in her plane, and she's dropping dynamite. Oh no, crikey, what do we do? And they lasso a rope and manage to get the wheel of the plane and bring it down, and you know what, let's just say the good guys won. That's all we need to know about this scene. Because I'm going to have an aneurysm trying to explain what happened. The good guys won. The CIA agents are left in the water, and Steve stops by, like, real close to them in his boat, and he's like, if they stay in the water too long, the hunters will become the hunted. Well, that's just the way of nature. Cracky! And they kind of go off and leave the CIA agents. Even though he's pretty much just said, if no one rescues the CIA agents, they're fucking done for. But, oh, you cold-blooded, black-hearted son of a bitch, Steve Irwin. But I don't blame him, because, you know, like, fighting the CIA agents probably got him, like, really super turned on, and now he wants to go fuck Terry. And the snake. Just... seriously, when you pressed play on this episode, did you think there would be so much discussing about Steve Irwin fucking? Like, crocodile hunter sex. I did not expect to talk about it this much. And I realized I could just stop myself and say, okay, I'm not going to discuss his sex life anymore. But I can't! I can't stop! It's like eating potato chips. You start once, you can't stop. Hell, the rest of this series might just be... it's no longer Velvet Al watches movies so you don't have to. It's going to become Velvet Al discusses Steve Irwin's sex life because he cannot stop talking about it. Oh, hey, the movie's not over yet. So the CIA decides that, oh, well, you know, this has just gone beyond our hands. We need to send this to the top. The president, George W. Bush, who decides, like, okay, we just gotta send the army out to get the guy in khaki shorts and says crikey a lot. And this is, like, probably one of the worst George W. Bush impersonations I've ever seen. And I decided to look it up real quick. And actually I was trying to look up something else about the film, trying to find someone else. But then it came across who played George W. Bush. And it was a guy. It's the guy that played George W. Bush in that show, That's My Bush. So yeah, that was also a very terrible George W. Bush impersonation. But apparently there's also 2 other films in which he plays George W. Bush. How? Is he just, like, that fucking cheap? Like, we could get someone that does a good impersonation, but that's going to cost some money. This guy will work for hot dogs. And the film studios are like, well, we can afford the hot dogs, so let's go with that guy. It's just, wow. Just an awful impersonation. So, the government just sends, like, the big military guys, and Steve Irwin's like, crikey! And they take the beacon away, and don't tell him what it's for. He's just like, okay, that's kind of weird, but, you know, you want it, whatever. And then we get him telling us what happened with all the other people, but, actually not really, just, well, the crazy old lady, joined the wildlife company or something, and she's helping with them, and the 2 guy CIA agents now work with the Australian zoo. But we didn't learn what happened to girly CIA agent. I don't know. Maybe she's dead. Maybe she exploded by the dynamite when the plane fell. I don't know. I don't really care. And you don't really care. All we know is happy ending. The crocodile's safe. The satellite part is safe. And most importantly, the Irwins are safe. And then we get to the best part of the movie. the credits. And normally I say that as a joke, which I don't think I've ever actually said on one episode of this show, but I should start saying that. Like, and now it's the best part of the movie, the credits. That's a pretty solid joke, I think. But no, I actually do mean it this time, because we just get like shots of Steve Irwin doing his thing of just kind of running around, chasing animals, and yelling "crikey" a lot. And say what you want about Irwin and his crazy cocaine eyes, that obviously he's got to be on something, but he is so fucking likable. I will say, like, I've been a little too harsh on him this film, because that's kind of what I have to do, but he is extremely likable. Crocodile Hunter is kind of just a dumb thing, like, and this movie was just incredibly dumb, but it wasn't totally horrible. Like, all the CIA shit was just stupid and unnecessary, but when it's just down to him, like, chasing animals and being crazy cocaine eyes. I did want to mention something, because he kind of, as Steve Irwin was giving a wrap-up, he talked about how he tossed a couple of gorgeous snakes. And now, I don't know if you know, and actually I might be wrong on this, so I'm going to ramble while I quickly check this up. I could, pause it, but I'm not going to pause it. But tossing off is British slang to... Yeah, it is. I am right. British slang, tossing off is to fucking give a hand job or jack off someone. So, I don't know if it quite translates in Australian as well. But, Australia started as a colony for British prisoners. So, I think they share a lot of the same slang. So, again, Steve Irwin, who has crazy cocaine, lustful eyes for snakes, talked about how he tossed off some gorgeous snakes. He fucking is admitting to jacking off the snakes. But he's so likable, I can't hate him. And, so what if he gave the snakes some happy endings? God, when I decided to watch this movie, I really did not think it was going to involve me talking so much about Steve Irwin playing with snakes in a sexual nature. I did not expect that. You did not expect that. Steve Irwin, if he was alive, would have expected that, because he likes to toss off snakes. My God, just... how did he just set up that perfect, T-ball? That was such a fucking softball toss-up to me. I'm making fun of him, all movie long about the snakes, and he's like, and I tossed off some gorgeous snakes! Crikey! But, aside from the cocaine lust he has for snakes, Steve Irwin is very likable, and his energy is just infectious. It was it was fun watching him be Steve Irwin. And so I can't say this movie's completely worthless, but I mean, you could get the same thing just from watching an episode of Crocodile Hunter, which is a third of the length and doesn't have whatever the hell is going on with the CIA there. And I'm also pretty sure no episode of the Crocodile Hunter TV show includes that terrible George W. Bush impersonation. So, yeah, stick with the show. And Steve Irwin, I love you. I do have love in my heart for you. You are entertaining. You were helping to rescue animals and save their natural habitat and conservation and all sorts of whatever words you want to use. You were a good man. And that's why I feel bad for, not just for making fun of this movie, but all these bestiality insinuations I've made towards you. I apologize. I apologize to the Irwin family. Steve was a good man, and it was kind of fun. He just, I'm going to stop there. So, velvetowl@hotmail.com, or leave a comment if this is one of the things you can do a comment on. Like and subscribe if you would like to. If not, it doesn't really hurt me. It does not hurt my feelings if you do not subscribe to my channel, or even hit the like button, or anything. It is what it is. I'm not going to be here begging like, oh, please, love me, love me. But then again, I think those people that are always like telling you like and subscribe actually get paid. So if they have a lot of subscribers and stuff, they'll actually get paid. Me, I'm not getting paid for this. I wish I were. But I'm getting paid in the love that none of you are showing me. Until next time, I will try to pick a movie that doesn't star someone that I feel really bad for making fun of. And more importantly, I'm going to try to pick a movie that does not lead me to talking about bestiality and weird sexual attraction to snakes. I love you guys. And I want to thank the Living Brain Dead for providing the official theme song for Velvet Owl Watches Movies So You Don't Have To. It's called Never Fuck With Catgirls, and you can get it at livingbraindead.com, which you should totally do. They are not paying me for this, so I shilled them out of my love for the music.